That is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes. Mark Carney, who stormed to victory. For too many years, it's been too easy for people to come here, slip into the shadow economy and remain here illegally. Because, frankly, we've been squeamish about saying things that are clearly true. It's not just that it's not compassionate left-wing politics to rely on labour that exploits foreign workers and undercuts fair wages, but the simple fact that every nation needs to have control over its borders. We do need to know who is in our country. Our immigration system does need to be fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on. Otherwise, it undermines trust, undermines people's faith that we're on their side, and their belief that the state can and will work for them.
The decision on a digital ID system in Britain appears to have been planted by transatlantic winds blowing from the US here. It's hardly a coincidence that following on from hard steps taken by President Trump and very visibly against illegal migration, that British Prime Minister Keir Starmer should have followed suit, followed the footsteps. And for Britain to do that kind of thing in the wake of what America does is a long-running tradition. Many European nations have had an ID card system in place for years. Britain has always resisted that. It's only moving now. But without doubt, the winds from here have become feebler on reaching Britain. The British steps are nowhere near as tough as the steps taken by Trump here. The digital ID card system in Britain really will be an app on the phone, though it could be a card, and it is an ID only of sorts, limited to requirement for jobs. It's not an identity card required generally for production on demand. Under the present proposals, it may not be required even for support from social services or for banking needs. The aim clearly is to cut down on illegal migration, particularly the thousands and thousands coming into Britain on those small boats across the English Channel week after week. The idea is that the card should work as a disincentive. It should work in a sense for those who cannot produce it, that the lack of a document for employment will then deter people from coming to Britain in the first place. And that is a suspect kind of reasoning. Serious doubts have been raised from all sides of the political spectrum on just how effective this could be. Employment already requires production of identity documents. So if people are working illegally, it's because those employers need them for that work, even though the employers know that their presence in Britain is illegal. And so it may make very little difference whether the identity documents demanded from them that they cannot produce would be of one kind or another. The move clearly has been made with politics and elections uppermost, even more than immigration itself. The Reform Party, headed by Nigel Farage, is mounting a serious challenge now to the Conservatives, from whom it has been a kind of a breakaway party. It's also threatening the Labour Party, and it's a party very strongly committed to ending illegal migration. That's almost the reason for its existence. For reform, the steps now are being considered don't go far enough. At the same time, groups on the left see it as an assault on civil liberties. Starmer has confessed as much, that reform certainly could be a reason for this new proposal. He said at the Global Progress Action Summit this week that Labour had so far been squeamish about voter concern over immigration, and this, he said, had led the Reform Party to gain popularity. As the debate rages, implementation is still a long way off, not before the end of term of the present Parliament in 2029. But immigration is expected to be a bitter and a bigger issue than it ever has been in an election before, and every party is preparing for it already. Labour through this scheme.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, we're being tracked every day anyway, through the use of our mobile phones. I suppose what I think is, some people complain about immigration. Some people complain about people complaining about immigration. You know, we all need to do whatever we can to support the government to manage immigration. And identity cards are a way of doing that. It's something people have been calling for a while, and I think it needs to be thought through. I was surprised at the announcement yesterday, which did seem to come out of the blue. I think people need to be prepared for this, but I think ultimately it's the right thing to do.
I just don't see the point of not having them, because we have ID all the time with driving licenses, often carry our passports around. So yeah, I don't have a problem with them.
I think there are civil liberty concerns about it. I'm kind of worried about how that will be enforced, what people will be forced to choose. I wonder how effective it will be about actually managing it, and I think in the current climate, I think it puts emphasis on the experience of kind of asylum seekers and immigrants and migrants to this country, when often they're just trying to live life and do things and get on like we all are. So I'm not in support of it based on what I've seen so far. But I'll wait to see more and hear more about their rationale for it.
I think in principle it's a good idea. I think the idea of the ID card is in principle a very good idea. I'm hugely concerned about the whole push towards AI and digital, because of course, we know that there are dangers with holding an enormous amount of people's information digitally. It gets lost, it gets taken, it gets used. We don't know what happens with it, and I think it comes with a huge number of pitfalls. I think it needs to be looked at very, very carefully, because I think there are huge implications. I think there are particular bonuses to it, but I think there are huge implications ethically as well.
Well, we had them. I had one. I had one in the 50s. So it didn't cause, I was only a child obviously then, but it didn't cause any bother then.
No, I don't agree with anything Starmer does.
Why not?
Because he's no good at his job.
Why are you against the ID cards?
Well, I don't think anything he does is any good.
To be honest, it's probably not the best of ideas. Because with anything digital, everything can be changed, so yeah, it's you look at the way things get hacked, and it's bad enough you can get fake IDs as it is, and with everything online, it just makes things a bit less human, because you don't get the whole thing of you're interacting with someone, instead you're interacting with a machine. So
these top kind of data protection companies or these tech firms can't protect people's data. Who's to say that Westminster can do any better, or Whitehall, or whoever it is? Just it's a bit of a concern and a bit of an infringement.